Hamed, I know that you grew up in Nigeria and you've
hmm
built a career around youth leadership and education access, and
hmm
eventually found yourself studying at the University of Edinburgh. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your background? Because it takes so much to finally land at Edinburgh, where you are based
mm.
right now as a transitions coordinator.
Yeah, I mean it's a story of grace and circumstance, and it's quite a journey.
Mhm.
For those who have never heard about my story, or for those who are kind of like hearing my story for the first time, I was born and raised in one of the largest floating slums in Africa, Makoko, Nigeria. I lost my mom when I was 7, and my dad lost his job almost at the same time. I stayed out of school for academic term, and I was the same for my younger brother, who stayed out of school for academic year. And where things started to change for me was when I attended a program for vulnerable children when I was 14. The program introduced me to self-esteem and leadership, and I realized that I could be something right within my community. That I've had all of these experiences growing up in the slum or living in the slum, but I could create change within my community. And I also could recall that there was a definition of self-esteem then that I was taught, like self-esteem is the way you see yourself and the way you see the world.
Hi, everyone. This is Joylene Shepkorir, and welcome again to the Research and Life podcast. Today's guest is Hamed Kayode Alabi, an award-winning social entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, author, and founder of the Kayode Alabi Leadership and Career Initiative. He is the creator of Rafiki AI, which is what we're going to talk about today. And Rafiki AI is Africa's first generative AI career advisor designed to help underserved and displaced young people access career guidance and opportunities through WhatsApp. WhatsApp is widely accessible in Africa nowadays, and I thought that was a genius idea and very opportunistic of him to think about using WhatsApp. He will tell us whether it's also available on other platforms. Hamed is a graduate of the University of Edinburgh and a Salzburg Global Fellow. He's also so many things. I would urge you to follow him on LinkedIn and also look through his website because we may not be able to cover everything. His website is hamedkayodealabi.com. If you look it up, you will learn more about him. So without further ado, I would like Hamed to tell us about his story. Hamed, I know that you grew up in Nigeria and you've
hmm
built a career around youth leadership and education access, and
hmm
eventually found yourself studying at the University of Edinburgh. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your background? Because it takes so much to finally land at Edinburgh, where you are based
mm.
right now as a transitions coordinator.
Yeah, I mean it's a story of grace and circumstance, and it's quite a journey.
Mhm.
For those who have never heard about my story, or for those who are kind of like hearing my story for the first time, I was born and raised in one of the largest floating slums in Africa, Makoko, Nigeria. I lost my mom when I was 7, and my dad lost his job almost at the same time. I stayed out of school for academic term, and I was the same for my younger brother, who stayed out of school for academic year. And where things started to change for me was when I attended a program for vulnerable children when I was 14. The program introduced me to self-esteem and leadership, and I realized that I could be something right within my community. That I've had all of these experiences growing up in the slum or living in the slum, but I could create change within my community. And I also could recall that there was a definition of self-esteem then that I was taught, like self-esteem is the way you see yourself and the way you see the world, and the way you handle yourself and the way you handle the world. And I was like, oh, actually, I can start seeing myself in the world where I could do things and I could create things. And that opened up my eyes a lot. So at the age of 15, I started, teaching in a basic rural school. I just finished high school then, and I was teaching basic literacy and numeracy skills, to children in rural communities. Then that was like another rural community I found myself in, and just like kind of like supporting young people. And another opportunity that also shaped my trajectory was before 15 or 14 was 13. when my dad actually sent me to a computer school, where I learned about basic graphics design, basic word processing, computer architecture, computer networking. I used to connect like two computers together when I was very young. And then I could share resources within those two computers, even though they are two separate computers, using the cable called the RJ45 cables. And once each one of those computers had internet, the other computers also have internet as well, because there's a way you do the connection. So, and those were like my experience. I didn't know that when my dad sent me to a computer school, I didn't know what he saw, but I think he saw the future, and he saw like the things that I'm able to do and I'm able to create. And by the time I got into university, I went ahead to study education. I learned so much about the educational sector. I learned so much about like psychology of education. What does it mean to learn? What does it mean to be ready to learn? How does learning happen? How does learning occur? So I was properly trained to be a teacher. um, and uh, and I finished, the secondary school as well. And I went to serve. Every Nigerian graduate will serve for a whole year, and I was
Yeah.
teaching again. So I taught again for a whole year. I was teaching basic science and physical education, and all of those experiences just shaped, my trajectory. But after all of those things that I did, I found myself back to the rural community I was living in, and I started working in the palm kernel factory. On my way to factory, I would see kids who were younger. Some are not in school, some are in school, but I always stop to ask them questions.
Yeah.
I always stop to say like, how are you today? How are you feeling? What are you learning? I always stop to ask like, tell me about what you want to become. Tell me about your future. And they will share different stories, and some struggle to even answer the question. And then it just reminds me of the younger version of me who
Yeah.
find the courage in the program I attended when I was 14, and how
Yeah.
that program actually changed my own trajectory. And that was how I started, the Kayode Alabi Leadership and Career Initiative. I, a cousin, and a friend, we just came together, and I had about $5 in my saving box. I broke the saving box, and that was how I started the first program. And we're telling the kids about their career, we're telling our stories, and they were asking a lot of questions. And those questions, the curiosity of the students, is what led me to build a model then. So I designed a career model. I didn't know, I just went ahead to watch a lot of videos and everything, and I designed a career model called the interest, strength, limitation, and purpose model. It has series of questions, where we ask the kids, what are you good at? What do other people tell you you're good at? What is holding you back? And then those series of questions is what we started using to like provide career advice and career guidance, for the last like 8 years.
Yeah.
So, and it was those model that led to Rafiki AI, for example. But how did the MasterCard Foundation Scholars Program came to be? So along that journey, even before Rafiki ever,
Yeah.
I was looking forward to do my masters. I wanted to like ground myself in what I was doing. I wanted to like, enhance my knowledge in research and all those kind of work. So I saw that the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program was out, and then I decided to apply, sharing my own story and my own experiences. And I decided to apply for Africa International Development, which gives me that interdisciplinary experience and knowledge about the continent in itself, about the problem I was trying to solve, and to just like ground myself in the idea of research. It was actually mainly research, like something to expand my horizon, something to like think deeply about the work I was doing. How do I do it in a more grounding way? I would say more grounding way.
Yeah.
How do I challenge even my own thinking, and how do I enhance my own thinking as well? And that was how I applied, and then I found myself in Edinburgh. Obviously, I got other scholarship during that process as well. I got like other two scholarships as well. But I chose the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program because of the nature of support that it has, and now I get to work with the program myself,
Yeah.
to continue to support like scholars as well, who come to study to transition into work. So I would say that every part of my work is connected to each other. It's yeah, and for me it's like, how do I continue to think? How do I continue to build solution? and how do
Mhm.
I continue to create for the African continent. I feel like the continent lives in me, and no matter where I stay, no matter where I am, I try to find ways to like enhance the continent, whether connecting people to resources, whether connecting to people to opportunities, whether finding a way to build product that respond to something in the world or that responds to the problem that many young people are facing on the continent. I just like to create and build. And sometimes if location enhances that opportunity to build,
Yeah.
then I would take those opportunities to make that happen. So I think I'll probably stop there. I don't know if I've kind of like answered your question.
You have. Thank you for expounding on it and really addressing your past, present, and the future.
Yeah.
I really I'm so sorry you lost your mother at age 7, but I have followed you for a long time, and you talk about how that moment of grief was a turning point
Yeah.
in your life.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I am I'm really proud of you for how you made that moment or that experience count, and you just didn't
Mm,
make it count for you, but you made it a powerful moment to transform not just
mm,
your life but the lives of other people. And I like that your dad was very visionary. Sometimes I think about computers when I was going to high school, and I don't remember people around me talking about how, or parents around me talking about the importance of computer skills. And I think I grew up in a very rural area too, with very limited access to education.
mhm,
And if somebody went through primary school and to secondary school, that was already a huge achievement. So, thinking about computers was another step that my community had not reached at that point. But when it
mhm,
came to my siblings, I was very emphatic when I was talking to them about college and after high school education. I was telling
mhm,
them, hey, you need to pursue computer skills. This is going to be important.
mhm,
So
mhm,
I am really glad that you took that opportunity to not just learn about computers, but you taught the youth on computer skills, and not just computer skills, and just talking to them and just getting to understand their needs, their experiences in life. I think you are already building Rafiki AI years before you
mm.
actually launched it. So
Yeah,
great
yeah,
job on that.
and to be honest, when we think about technology, when we think about building, for every solution you build, there's a use case. So what you're thinking of, like, you're looking at your own experiences, you're looking at like your own work, you're looking at things that you've been doing manually and
Mhm.
things that you've been doing, like, and you're thinking, could AI probably solve this problem better?
Yeah.
Or maybe not even so better, but could it complement, the program you've created or something you've built? And all you're now doing is to translate all those lived experience, all those work into a solution, right? And that's why I particularly believe that when we are thinking about good AI, or when we are thinking about ethical AI,
Mhm.
one of the ways you can build ethical AI is for people who are creating social change to build with AI, right?
Right.
You can't just build the AI, like, I feel like when more people in social change start
Mhm.
building with AI, naturally they tend towards ethics.
Yeah.
Because if you're building for like vulnerable people, you have to think about ethics, you have to think about assets, you have to think about the people you're building for. You have to think about so many layers,
Yeah.
and that will lead you to ethics directly, right? And if AI can learn how to be good, because when you look at AI, it's called artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And artificial intelligence is the ability of the algorithm to
Mhm.
learn human capabilities.
Yeah.
And then, it's been trained, machine learning is being trained in terms of like the machine learning about human capabilities and being able to reproduce that, you
Mhm.
know and if those capabilities, if it can learn good things about humans,
Mhm.
if it can learn things that are really inherent, that are good about humans, then we don't have to be totally scared about the future of AI. The
Right.
reason why we are scared about the future of AI is because humans as well, we are bad actors.
Yeah.
And when you have bad actors, when you have people who would put profits first
Mm-hmm.
ahead of humans, people who put, their own pocket first, their own interest first, beyond humans, then you're scared of autonomous AI.
Yeah.
You're scared of artificial super intelligence, where AI goes beyond human capabilities and general intelligence to super intelligence, where actually you can send few AIs to go to war
Mm-hmm.
and you will sleep in your room.
That
So
is
I know I'm
great.
already talking about something else, but I just want to quickly point that out that for me, the way I kind of like think is, how do I use something, within my community, something that I've seen, something closer to me, the
Mm-hmm.
problems I see every day.
Yeah.
How do I use that to equalize opportunities? How do I use that to like build something where if somebody wants to do a mock interview, but they can't even reach out to people because they don't even know the people to reach out to, for example, or maybe the people they are reaching out to are they have burnt out and they are
Yeah.
just so tired.
Right.
How do I ensure that for those kind of people, they could access a platform where they could do have access to an AI interview, for example, or have access to like a career coaching, for example, or have access to career advice, or have access to how to improve their presentation skills, for example. And all of these things that I'm saying are some of the use cases that I particularly I have seen in the work we do. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that as you were talking as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, so you remind me of one of the key issues really that people in rural areas and just regions in Africa that don't have much resources struggle with, and it is lack of information. And it's not just in the education sector,
Mhm.
also in the healthcare sector. My doctoral dissertation examined how sources of health information impact people's ability to seek cervical cancer screening. And to my surprise, there were still people that didn't know or had never heard about cervical cancer in their entire life. And once I told these people about cervical cancer and the importance of screening early, they were willing to be screened as long as the procedures were safe.
Mm,
We know for sure science has
mm,
tested several methods of cervical cancer screening and have found them to be safe. And
mm.
people in high income countries are using it, and cancer is getting detected at early phases and getting cured. But then
Yeah.
that to low income areas, and people are dying for lack of knowledge, honestly, which is very sad. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
really glad that
Mm-hmm.
your initiative has been honing on that, making sure that the youth have the right information to make the right decisions for their careers.
Yeah.
I tell people sometimes that
Yeah.
I struggled career wise because I didn't have the information. And sometimes I used to ask myself, did I miss
Mm,
a session or a class in high school on careers because I really
mm,
struggled to figure out what I wanted to do in college. I know I missed a few first days
mm,
of high school intake because of school fees issues here and there.
mm,
But
mm,
along
mm,
those 4 years, there should have been some information that should have made it possible for me to quickly know what I wanted to do in college,
mm,
at least by the third
mm,
year of high school. So
mm,
that's why for me, I really want young people to get information on education and what they can really do with
mm.
their lives. I like that your initiative is focused on people's strengths, their limitations, their interests, and purpose. Purpose is really the huge thing that young people need to know and need to pursue, because you can have a really good career, but there are moments where you're gonna think of giving up because of
Mm-hmm.
whatever circumstances. But
Mm-hmm.
when you think of why you are
Mm-hmm.
doing this, that's what's gonna keep you
Mm-hmm.
going. So I am really glad of that the model you're using includes purpose. Yeah, so AI, like you mentioned, there's so much potential. But I really want to know how you started Rafiki AI. I know for some of us, AI, we started paying attention to AI about 2 years ago or less. But at what point did you say, okay, this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a game changer in my initiative?
Yeah, so Rafiki has had a lot of evolution. Like I would say that the first form of evolution was actually coming up with the model in itself in
Mhm.
2017 without knowing about any form of AI. And
Oh.
this was just my mind working, right? And it was me coming up with the model and even writing it in a book then. But the book was later published in 2023 called Career Wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It was a book I wrote to the board member and we published the model in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And we've written that model there. But and it was just my own mind
Mm-hmm.
thinking of if we combine one plus one together, two plus two, three plus three of these things,
Mm-hmm.
how do we match somebody interest,
Yeah.
something that they enjoy doing, and
Mm-hmm.
how do you match it with their strength, which is something of what they can do and the
Yeah.
capabilities they have.
Yeah.
Because strength is what you already have within, right? Your own
Right.
capabilities already. Interest is what entices you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the limitation is what is hindering you from furthering that interest or for furthering developing the strength.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then the purpose is like, then how do you use all of this to change the world
Right.
or to change your surroundings and to change your community?
Mm-hmm.
That was the idea around the model then.
Wow.
And that was how we were supporting kids then to identify their paths,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's one-to-one mentoring or whether that is group mentoring. So that was there. So that was even a form of technology without technology in itself,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And then I went ahead, again, my curiosity keeps taking me somewhere that I do not know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I pitched in a competition for a product called careerbox.ng
Mm-hmm.
because I remember then that there was a lot of people who were reaching out to me for mentorship. And
Yeah.
even me myself, I'm still growing. I was
Mm-hmm.
just like a 24-year-old, so, I also need support. But a lot
Yeah.
of people, based on what I was sharing, based on the things that I know, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people were chatting with me on WhatsApp, and then I was giving advice on WhatsApp. Then I was thinking of like, what if I create a chat bot mentoring exactly on WhatsApp that does what I do
Wow.
for unemployed young people to
Excellent.
access work? And that was what betcareerbox.ng
Mm-hmm.
then. So I went to pitch for, about $10,000 grants as of then.
Mm-hmm.
But then unfortunately, I didn't win. So that idea died a natural death. Careerbox.ng. I wanted to build a chatbot mentoring then,
Mm-hmm.
right? I didn't even know that AI could power that. Then I went through another form of like, okay, let me do career uplines.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a number, we registered the number, we played the number on WhatsApp, and we're asking young people to call that number to get career advice directly from an upline.
Yeah.
But as of that one, we barely received any calls.
Wow.
So that also died another natural death. And
Mm.
then I published the Career Wisdom book with the model. And
Mm-hmm.
then the impact was like growing, people were reading it. And if somebody came to me that every young person needs to have this book in their hands then. Because we had the model in the book, we were sharing stories, we were sharing tips, and there were workshops at the end of each chapters.
Interesting.
Like a worksheet rather at the end of
Worksheet.
each
Yeah.
chapters, yeah, for people to work on. So when Gen AI came to be, and when
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of buzz around ChatGPT, cloud, and everything,
Mm-hmm.
my brain was just thinking differently.
Mm-hmm.
When I started using it, I'm like, could I build something with this?
Yeah.
Could I create something with this that does career support and career advice? And I started thinking, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, can I make it natural? Can I make it generative? Can I
Mm-hmm.
make it, So I started thinking, and all of a sudden I started writing them down. I started pitching them in places. I started like putting them on things, even though they were not clear.
Yeah.
Right. So I applied for like a couple of things that I didn't get in, but I was just like developing the idea, and until I applied for um One Young World Summit as an
Yeah.
Impact AI scholar in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And that was how I got like this One Young World Impact AI scholar by Brandtech Group. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like changed a lot of my perspective. Like, and I was pitching Rafiki as part of the
Mm-hmm.
products I would build at the end of the program.
Wow.
So I went to One Young World. I had stories of people building AI. I had
Mm-hmm.
staff members of Brandtech sharing AI use cases, and my brain was just like, I can't wait to go back home. I want to build something. My eyes
Mm-hmm.
were scratching, my legs were scratching. I just want to go back home. I was
Yeah.
so restless. And then I went back home,
Mm.
plug on ChatGPT. I inputted my model on ChatGPT and I got the results. When I
Wow.
saw the results and I said, can I build, what can I use? What no code tool can
Mm-hmm.
I use to build a quick prototype to test this?
Right.
So I started getting a lot of no code tools and I started researching different no code tools because I
Mm-hmm.
can't code. And
Yeah.
then I
Oh.
got into landboost.io.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to landboost.io and I started putting the things together. Okay, these are the questions I have. This is
Mm-hmm.
strength and interest. These are the responses I'm looking for. So I built a kind of like, it's like a chart. You build your
Right.
model using that chart and then you put everything. But what I was using was predictive AI, not generative AI. So for
Oh.
example, when you go to your bank app, you say press yes, it gives you a response. Press no, it
Mm-hmm.
gives you a response. Those were already predicted because
Okay.
they know if you press yes, this is what it gives you. If you press
Mm-hmm.
no, that's the kind of responses it gives you.
Right.
So I was using predictive, which means I've given the question, I've given
Mm.
the answer, but the answers are not natural because
Right.
I've given it. And then I tested that on WhatsApp myself.
Wow.
And when I saw that working, I'm like, this is my first prototype.
Mm-hmm.
There is something here. So, and then I was like, no, I went back again to ChatGPT. It's not generative. It's not, and like you need to connect to webhook. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I even booked a call with Landbook.io staff to understand
Yeah.
how I could connect to webhook and how I could do the coding. I was planning to even code it in myself. But I think I just got to a place where I
Mm.
couldn't go anymore. And my brain was scratching, my brain was boggling, and I was
Mm-hmm.
running crazy. And
Yeah.
then that was when I recorded every single thing that I've done.
Okay.
I screen recorded every single thing. I screen recorded my prototype.
Mm-hmm.
So which means that that's my first prototype in case I'm applying for anything.
Right. Yeah.
I just did everything like that. And then I spoke to a developer and we chatted and I'm like, could we build this? And they're like, it's possible. And
Mm-hmm.
we're like, and then we think about the use cases, if we are thinking about underserved young people in slum, young people in refugee camps, and young
Mm-hmm.
people in like rural communities, then we have to build on WhatsApp.
Right.
So, and then it didn't even take 30 minutes for my developers to understand what I was trying to do because I already did
Yeah.
major uplifting with the old basics.
You did the
So
legwork for sure.
exactly. So then the developers went ahead to build and everything, and then we built our first prototype, and we keep testing, feedback upon feedback upon feedback upon feedback. We
Mm-hmm.
keep reiterating and iterating until we had our final product, and then we launched it like that. And we're backed by the Amazon Web Services because
Mm-hmm.
at that point I was like, okay, it's one thing to build a tech product,
Mm-hmm.
but it's another thing to also like host them. It's another thing to have a technology that powers them as well. It's another
Right.
thing to be paying for like API costs and all
Right.
those costs and the
Yeah.
technology cost and the AI cost. And there's a lot of cost attached to it, right?
Yeah.
And I might be getting charged and I need to know where I can get the money from.
Right.
So I'm like, where can I cover the cloud costs of my
Mm-hmm.
product?
Mm-hmm.
And that
Wow.
was how I found about AWS. I
Mm-hmm.
was in Salzburg fellowship. Every night in that fellowship, I would
Mm-hmm.
apply for AWS. Like I would be writing my application for
Mm-hmm.
the grants and the funding,
Mm-hmm.
because then they released a funding called AW Amazon Web Service Education Equity Initiative. I
Okay.
applied, and that was how I got a thousands, tens of thousands of dollars of funding,
Mm-hmm.
of cloud capital, and I was able to now
Congratulations.
power Rafiki on it as well. Right.
Yeah.
So I powered Rafiki on it, and
Mm-hmm.
then we launched, and then in 3 days we had about 1,200 users. It exchanged
Wow.
over 10,000 messages from
Mm-hmm.
over 16 countries. And that was when I knew that we've actually built something really, really grand and important. And a lot of people were reaching out for partnerships, started
Mm-hmm.
doing school outreaches. We've done over 55 schools.
Mm-hmm.
We've trained about 27 school leaders. We've trained about how many teachers? 27 school leaders who have, supported about 70 teachers,
Mm-hmm.
who are now using Rafiki AI WhatsApp version in their classroom. So it has now grown to have exchanged over 100,000 messages now. It has reached over 12,000 users, currently over 60 countries, obviously 97% of them in Nigeria, 2% from Africa, and 1% from the rest of the world. And we are growing, we've built another version, and we are building a new set of versions as well.
Mm-hmm.
As we continue to see the problem, as we continue to scale, as we continue to think about sustainability of the platform, there has been different iteration already happening. So we are currently building our third iteration at the moment.
Yeah.
So there's a lot happening. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the journey in brief.
Oh, that is an inspirational journey for sure. I have had a lot of things that didn't work and then a lot of things that worked. And I'm really glad that you considered partnerships and applying for grant awards. This was well deserved. You have been going through various phases of it to make sure that you have something good. I actually tested it myself and I've shared with my brother, who is an undergraduate student now at Morehouse in the
All
US.
right.
So I am a postdoc fellow. That's it, right? Is that,
Ah, cool. That's the WhatsApp
yeah.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's the WhatsApp version. There's
yes.
also like the have you seen the web version though?
I looked at the first time I looked it up, I looked at the web version, but I haven't used the web
Ah,
version. I have used the
okay.
WhatsApp version, but that's good to know.
Cool.
Where else can they use it? Is it just web and WhatsApp, or is there any other platform people could
It,
access?
it's just web and WhatsApp, and there's a reason for
Okay.
that. The
Mm-hmm.
reason for that is access.
Okay.
You, if you, we could build an app, but I don't think we don't have the user base yet to now build an app yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason why we haven't built an app because by the time a user start downloading an app without internet, before
Mm.
they download, before you sign up, before you register, you already lost the users already.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to add any barriers to use. I think honestly,
Yeah.
WhatsApp works really good. I tested it. I am a postdoctoral fellow and I was struggling with something last week. I am trying to come up with a research
Wow.
idea. And I talked about my experience with my mentors. I have gone I've gone through several iterations of my idea with them. And I am like, I'm probably missing something. I can't be wrong all these times. I don't want to
Okay.
read, but I'm just gonna say, I think it gave me really good action items. They are
What?
1, 2, 3, 4, and yeah, four key action items for me. Because I talked about how I was so passionate about my idea, but they were concerned that my mentors are concerned that it's not feasible. And they say, when you're thinking about feasibility, I mean, Rafiki said, when you're thinking about feasibility, consider timeline,
Yeah.
resource, pilot data, and collaboration. I was like, oh, I only
Wow.
always thought about feasibility in terms of the resources that I had in terms of technology, funding, and personnel. So Rafiki AI is really good.
Oh,
I tested
I'm
it
shocked.
myself
I'm
and
shocked. I'm shocked at the moment now. I'm just like, yeah, yeah, I'm amazed.
yeah, it's I only
I'll go
thought
smart.
yeah, I really thought it was only for people trying to figure out careers, but I think it's not just about undergraduate, graduate. It goes beyond graduate studies and really anything about career. I'm gonna challenge the people that are already working class and maybe have a challenge with their jobs in corporate or academia to test the app and then give me feedback.
We need to share. I hope we can get like the recording of this part of the video so I can share that on social media.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
We
you
need to
know,
like say like, okay, guys, we know we've been promoting this for like students and graduates and but
yeah.
because I think one of the things about ISLP is
Mhm,
that the ISLP model work for any level. Like
mhm,
it's we might have beat it in a way that even younger generation can understand, but like anybody at any level struggling with anything, it
mhm.
chats with you. That's the beauty of the WhatsApp version.
Yeah.
It's always my favorite, right? I know we build the big web app one,
Mhm,
which is more like direct to the point, upload your CV,
mhm,
get further advice and everything, and it uses both analytics and generative AI there. But the
mhm.
WhatsApp version feels like very personal connection,
Yeah.
and there's back and forth there,
Mhm.
which is why and it's guided by that ISLP kind of
That
thing.
makes
So I'm
sense.
glad you had a good experience.
Mhm. Could you briefly talk about what ISOP is, just for people that are
Uh,
not familiar?
so ISLP is I is interest, S is
Mhm,
strength, L
mhm,
is limitation, and P is purpose.
mhm,
So Rafiki was trained based on these four models, and it's published already in our like book Career Wisdom. So it's how like it guides your conversation to then provide an advice for you. So it's not just like providing advice like from the brain. So it's been trained based on that model. So the memory at which it interacts thinks
mhm,
about ISLP. So ISLP is like the brain box that
mhm.
guides all the conversation.
That makes sense because when I asked the question, it told me to get started, I'd love to know a bit about your current career situation. What are you currently doing and what do you hope to achieve? It was not just about that moment that I was struggling with. It really wanted me to provide details on what I wanted to do next. So I think the model ISLP is working. Sorry, I initially thought you said ISOP. So
No, so
I
it's
get it now.
ISLP. So it's ISL and
Mhm.
P.
Okay.
L for lollipop.
Mhm. L for lollipop. I like that. Okay, so for someone that is hearing about Rafiki AI for the first time, what exactly
Yeah.
um, is it going to help them do, and what will it not do?
What it's going to help them do is provide any form of career guidance or advice.
Mhm,
So any kind of career guidance or advice you have, you want to prepare for a presentation, you're scared, Rafiki helps. One of our students in secondary school
mhm.
was going for a presentation, do not have any family member to support them. They
Yeah.
were able to get a phone from like one of their family members, and then
Mhm,
they used Rafiki there to figure that out.
mhm,
You are thinking about maths and you're like, I struggle with maths. Are there any ways to like learn maths better?
mhm.
You could go to Rafiki, I'm struggling with my reading pattern, like anything that just connect with like career, personal, professional development, you know, it does it, Oh, I'm applying for a job, or I want to prepare for my the job interview, it does, from the mundane career stuff, the basic
Mhm,
ones that kids in secondary school would ask about,
mhm.
like, okay, I don't know what I want to be in the future. There's this. It provides all of those guidance. So it's like from the basics to like even the highest level of career support you need, it
Yeah.
moves around those range, right? So anything that has to do with career advice, career guidance, career support, even from like even scholarships, right? From like thinking
Mm-hmm.
about your story, from like writing your story, guidance around that, any kind of thing like that. But
Yeah.
it's all career encompassing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what it does not do is like it wouldn't provide a football score.
Mm.
Right. So, what's the football score for today? You know, maybe rather it might reroute that conversation to like, are you interested in football instead in terms of career?
Okay, okay. They should,
So how do I speak to my girlfriend and all of those things? So it wouldn't do things like general, because again we have general purpose technology.
yeah.
ChatGPT is a general purpose technology. Cloud is a general purpose technology. Rafiki, it's more of narrow. So it's more
Mm-hmm.
of specific AI technology, like specific purpose technology. So it's specifically for career, even though the career is general,
Yeah.
but it still like supports career in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's used in career education, kind of like that industry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they call like narrow AI, where AI is very good at a particular area and sector, and you train a model on a
Yeah.
particular bigger industry that actually still cuts across everything, does general career. So that's what Rafiki does basically.
Yeah. That's really cool. I am glad our audience can now understand that they cannot use Rafiki AI for any other thing. This is just career advice, which is it's good because sometimes ChatGPT can give you everything you want, but also since it's not trained specifically to provide career advice, I would say try Rafiki AI because it is trained to specifically do that. Um, so what do you tell young people about Rafiki AI versus career counselors? How can
Mhm.
they leverage the two so that they are not missing that human touch, but also
Mhm.
benefiting from the technology that Rafiki AI has?
I think the first thing is that I think career counselors are important. I think we will not totally replace them, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think we should replace them
Mm,
because I still do career counseling. I still have calls. As somebody who works in career and transitions.
mhm.
So the human touch, you can't take away motivation, you can't take away encouragement, you can't take away that share of emotion, right? Obviously, there's a lot of training going on about AI being able to feel emotion, but still, there's something about human beings and seeing them and having that connection and crying together. Would you cry with
Yeah.
AI? I doubt not. Right. So I think there's something important around that. And but the question is also like how many career counselors do we have? The question is how many career counselors do we even have in school? In fact, the data currently shows that 90% of Nigerians would go through any form of education without interacting with a counselor.
Wow. I think it's the same
Exactly.
across
In
Africa.
across South Africa,
I mean, African continent.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
so what we can now do is that how can we make educators in school co-counselors instead?
Mm-hmm.
So Rafiki becomes that co-counselor, so it's integrated within their own system. So it's like Rafiki, you use Rafiki to ask the question as the teacher because you don't have a counseling background, and
Mm-hmm.
then you talk to the student, and then you do shared guidance,
Yes.
and then you communicate together so then you don't lose that human connection and human touch. And we've
Mm-hmm.
seen that happen already where teachers are using that in their classroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
To use Rafiki as a kind of like co-counselor, as a kind of like helping, students identify where their struggles are, helping
Mm-hmm.
students identify where, their own personal plan, different kind of like areas of interest there. So that's co-counseling there.
Yeah.
We've had our educators who kind of like use Rafiki side by side to
Mm-hmm.
provide career guidance to students when we do career outreaches. So when we do career outreaches now,
Mm-hmm.
we use Rafiki as a co-counselor.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we ask students to cluster, sit around, give
Mm-hmm.
them different tabs and phones, and they then do their checks and everything, and then they interact with it.
Mhm.
And then the teacher asks question, and then they go back and forth like that, and then they
Okay.
learn. And that's like your first step to like prompting, right? That's your first step to like learning prompting. That's your first step to AI literacy. So
Mm-hmm.
naturally, we even do AI literacy without doing it
Yeah. Yeah.
because it becomes natural. So I think counseling is important, but also what happens after counseling? Follow up. Would you go to your counselor every day?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's not
What
possible.
happen? What also happens about safety?
Mm-hmm.
What if you're not safe with your counselor?
Mm-hmm.
There was something we observed when we started using Rafiki in like schools,
Yeah.
and when we trained teachers, and they were like, some of the kids came back to
Mm.
say that they trusted Rafiki better than talking to somebody, the girls.
Wow. Interesting.
They're, they're like, it's better than going to like a male counselor and share things with them
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
trusting them. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that. You
Yeah.
know, you
Interesting.
know, and you can look at the data of the fear around, you know, because again, we see this of gender-based violence happen in school, and
Yeah.
molestation and whether secondary or university,
Mm-hmm.
where you want to ask some certain question, you can't even go to the teacher as a woman, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then, if an AI can help you answer that question, it gives you a bit of confidence in between.
Yeah.
Again, we haven't, we don't have the data to back it up yet, so I can't claim anything yet.
Yeah.
But then I'm already seeing. Sorry, I started playing with something here. I'm already seeing the correlation there,
Yeah.
and we are open. One of the things we want to start doing is to start grounding Rafiki in evidences. So we are open to now start doing research
Mm-hmm.
to understand the products better and the usage,
Mm-hmm.
with younger people, and maybe like do more of like a short study, and maybe at some point do a longitudinal study
Yeah.
to see what are the impacts around career outcomes, and being able to now publish this model, publish this idea, publish the impacts as well, and just again, these are things that we are still thinking about, and you don't get there in a day. So there's a lot already happening. So yeah.
I think it's a really great idea to do a longitudinal study looking at the impact of Rafiki AI over the years and how eventually, I know there is career advice, right? And then the student eventually makes a decision, perhaps with the help of a career counselor. It would be very interesting to see what at what point did really Rafiki AI make an impact, or what was the statement that made a difference? And then look at what careers they eventually chose. How much did they trust Rafiki AI
Yeah.
when they were
Yeah. Exactly.
interacting with Rafiki AI initially and over time?
Yeah.
So, and then compare that across the males versus females. I,
Exactly.
as you think about sustainability and how pandas are going to keep coming to you, I think
Mhm.
having really research that's grounded in evidence is going to really help the app,
Yeah.
and also it will enhance the impact. When people see the
Exactly.
data, it makes the app more credible. I mean, not the app, but like this AI model. So
Yeah.
really, I'm really glad you guys are thinking about that. As a researcher myself, I have really seen how much data influences decisions. Who knows?
Mhm.
Someday Nigeria may want to consider this in their education system. They will ask you about the data, they will ask you about how your findings are supported in the literature. So, great job thinking ahead. Um,
Right, I'm just showing off. I can't also do it alone, so there are other people who are also involved. So hopefully we get to that point. It's still brick by brick.
mhm.
I like to take things step by step and learn along the journey. So
Yeah.
let's see how it goes.
This is really great information, Ahmed. I want us to just end with some career advice for the youth and people
Mm,
that are still thinking of switching careers or just thinking about how to, you know, work with their current careers. People can reinvent themselves anytime, any point in their careers. What do you think people should do in terms of when they experience rejection, uncertainty along their career?
mm,
Uh,
mm.
what is the one thing you want people to do?
Um, I think they should focus on plurality, exploring their being to the fullest.
Mm-hmm,
I think we don't explore who we are to the fullest.
mm-hmm,
I think most of the time we think we are our job,
mm-hmm.
but we are multiple other things,
Right.
right? And we like to be like our job is who we are. And
Mm-hmm,
then when we lose it, or oh, this opportunity that I'm applying for is everything about me,
mm-hmm,
and this opportunity is everything about me. It's either this thing or nothing, right? And then when we lose it, we then start losing ourselves, right? Because we've tied who we are
mm-hmm.
to a job.
Good
We've
job.
tied who we are to an application,
Mm-hmm.
whereas who we are can be something greater than that.
Yeah,
And that could be a purpose that can be delivered or that can be expressed through multiple ways of being. So
right.
it's understanding what are the multiple ways of things I can do, right?
Mm-hmm,
And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't focus on an area,
mm-hmm,
but focus on an area. Health, medicine, health is a core,
mm-hmm.
but there are multiple ways to health.
Right. Yeah.
Research,
Mm-hmm.
going on the field itself, creating content around it,
Yeah.
especially looking at that we are now in the 21st century. So
Mm-hmm.
you're thinking, what are the multiple ways of expression and being? So that when you lose one version of that, you don't lose the other version, and there's another way of expression.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm like, that I'm not in a job, doesn't mean I'm not working,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
right? It doesn't mean I'm not working, right? It doesn't mean I'm not expressing myself through other ways or other means,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So being able to a being able to have a plurality of talents,
Mm-hmm.
plurality of talents, plurality of experiences. I think it can help people like get ahead so that when you're rejected, you're not affected, right? So because there is something that precedes rejection is being.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Once your being, once your being go before you, then
Mm-hmm.
rejection has nothing to do with you
Right.
because your being is now greater than the rejection.
Mm-hmm.
That your being becomes how you then change the world, how you respond to the world. Right.
Yeah.
So,
That's
for example,
mm-hmm.
there are many opportunities that I've gotten
Mm-hmm.
without application,
Right.
and they came because of who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, when you look at it from a multi-dimensional perspective, there might be other things you know, that are also like considered, right? We
Yeah.
can't say it from a unidimensional perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But then, there's something about being. There's
Yeah.
something about being able to tell your own story, being able to create your own impact, being able to build your own products, being able to do poetry, being able to express yourself in different ways of who you are. And that being in itself, that showing up, that creation, then creates the pathway for the opportunities you get.
Yeah.
I can tell you, like recently, there are things that are coming my way. These are things I used to pray for many, many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I see other people getting them. And I pray, like, God, when will mine come? Or when will they ever come?
Mm-hmm.
And without lobbying, they just happens to me and they
Wow.
come my way, right? And then you don't wonder, like, how did that happen? How did somebody mention you in the room where you're not? How did
Mm-hmm.
somebody go on and tell your story where you're not? And that's what being is, right?
Right.
So ensure your being
Mm-hmm.
goes before you.
Yeah.
Ensure your being precedes any form of rejection. Ensure your being is greater than any form of rejection that you can receive. So once you are able to understand that being, you're able to understand who you are, you're able to understand your purpose, rejection has no hold of you. What you're
Right.
just doing is that you're just auditioning.
Right.
Whenever you're applying, you're just auditioning, you're building your muscles, you're building your system, you're learning new ways of doing things. And you're also like facing a system as well that
Mm-hmm.
might be rejecting you, not because you aren't good, but
Mm-hmm.
because you're fighting against a particular system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you need to now find another way of responding to that system in a way that it's unique and different. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where your being start growing before you. Right.
Yeah.
So, like when I gave the Being Edible Award speech, I didn't even know it would go viral. For example, I wasn't expecting anything to go viral. That
Mm-hmm.
was my being
Yeah.
working. That
Mm-hmm.
was me just doing my own thing. And all of a sudden, that being then transforms something and leads to something and creates a movement and give other people courage. Like the video has been watched by like 4 million people. That's not me.
Wow.
That's being there, that's being happening, and features here and there, awards here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Awards that I was considered for that I didn't win, I won them
Mm-hmm.
after
Yeah.
awards,
Yeah.
featured by like the National Orientation Agency in Nigeria, Nigerian of the Week, African of the Month, this one, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Again, so that's why we need to focus on who we are and our being. And
Yeah.
one day the world will stop for us to, the world will just like pause and just and just admire the beauty we carry within and the
Mm-hmm.
power and the things we've created, and the world will just stop for you. And to be honest, like I particularly don't think the world has stopped for me yet, because I'm still building, I'm still learning, I'm
Yeah.
still becoming, and I'm still
Yep.
creating, so I think people need to move away from the idea of when opportunities doesn't come, their life has ended, or
Yeah.
something has come to an end, and everything, because there's much more
Yeah.
than those rejections. So I would suggest that people should focus on their being and
Mm-hmm.
finding multiple ways to even express who they are, because
Yeah.
sometimes there's so many things within ourselves that we've not even expressed at all.
Yeah. Wow. That is a really good place to end. Um, I am very inspired myself. I feel like I have read your post on being, and I read your post on being your the speech that you gave for the Being Edinburgh Award. You shared a lot of it in LinkedIn, and I read. But I like the idea of plurality. Like you are not just one thing. Your purpose could be centered along one thing, but can be expressed in several ways. And I like that you have really built and like your path in a way that not that people can recognize online, offline, think about you. I think you've really networked effortlessly just by being yourself. And when I think about AI and education, you are one of the first people that pop in my mind, because you have a product, Rafiki AI, and then beyond having a product, you talk about it. You have a website. You are always invited to speaking engagements, and when you go, you just talk about some of the things you have mentioned in the past, but then find a way to bring it out in a new way. So thank you for inspiring all of us to just be, and not just be one thing, but multiple things. I think that's a huge takeaway for me. So once
Thank you,
again, thank
Jalen.
you,
Thank
Ahmad,
you.
for
On
really
board.
taking the time to come here to this podcast. I hope to keep in touch with you. And I'm sure people are going to come up with me with questions regarding Rafiki AI. If I can't answer them, is it okay if I refer them to you?
I'm not promising that I'm going to answer them. You can send them my way, but I can't promise that I would answer them.
Okay,
So that I
yeah.
don't make a promise,
Rafiki,
and people are like, I bet you said you would answer those questions, but you did not answer
I'm
them.
sorry. Yeah, but Rafiki AI is very thorough, and I guarantee everyone that's going to use it that they will get a response. So thank you so much for the Rafiki AI, and just for being you, Hamed, so that all of us can learn from you.
I'm humbled, really humbled, and great to do this with you, Joylene.
All
Well
right.
done. This
Thank
is
you.
great.